Awesome.
Good morning, afternoon. It's like noon here where I am,
Noon-ish.
Central Time.
Same.
So it's the afternoon. Yeah, good afternoon, everybody. This is the Sanctuary PDH Open, March 16th,
Mhm.
2024. Um, and boy, do we have a day full of Pauper, Commander for all you folks out there in PDHville. Um, I am Derek. I'm a member of the Pauper Commander RC. I'm joined here by Brad. Brad, why don't you introduce yourself to all the nice folks out there who have no idea who you are?
Hello, nice folks out there who have no idea who I am. I am Brad or Brad Drac V, Popper B on Twitter. I am one of the hosts of the PDH Pod podcast, and you'll usually find me on Twitch streaming PDH, Spell Table PDH every Saturday, and sometimes on YouTube doing random Popper stuff as well.
Absolutely, and it's wonderful to have you back. I know we've done a couple of these together. It's always a
Yeah,
fun time.
always a good time.
Um, so yeah, we've got, oh goodness, maybe like how many players do we have today? It's in the high 20s,
Last I heard it was 26,
26. Yes, we've got four, uh,
28. We just heard.
28.
Yeah, that's
Goodness me,
excellent. Excellent turnout.
more Pauper Commander players than I've ever seen in my life.
Yep.
All in the same virtual space. We got 4 rounds, then a cut to top four, so we got a long day ahead of us. Um, thanks to Bobby, Sanctuary PH, for having us on to do some commentary today, walk you through all the matches as best we're able.
Yep.
Um, and at the end of the day, crown our fourth winner, I guess.
Yeah.
It's been
Fourth winner.
a year
A
of
lot of cool
these
prizes, everything
scrappy
on the
little
line.
tournaments.
Yeah.
Yeah, so let's go right in. We've got a good first round already lined up. We have 4 players in round one,
Hmm.
as is normal for Pauper Commander. For those who aren't familiar, it's just like EDH. 4 players have 30 life instead of 40, 16 commander damage instead of 21. And you have to have a common in your 9 has to be all commons, uncommon in your command zone. That's pretty much the crux of it.
Yeah.
Um, and here we've got some old favorites of ours. In the top left, you'll see we have Papa Popper Ryan of the Common Connoisseurs on Third Path Iconoclast deck. He's been high on for the last ever since that card was released. We've got EB Shiny, another content creator, who streams Pauper and EDH over on his YouTube or Twitch channel rather. On Gretchen Titchwillow, another known quantity, and I think his list is pretty stock. Maybe a couple little flavorful flex slots, but mostly we're just looking to combo off with Gretchen there.
Yep.
Um, we've got Brennan in the bottom left with Killian, something we actually don't see very much. And Brad, you're a big Killian fan. Um, it's a
Yeah. Big
card.
time.
It just reduces the mana cost of spells that you cast at target creatures. So makes all your removal cheaper, auras, those sorts of things.
Yeah. Auras,
Um,
instant sorceries, all that sort of stuff. And it targets any creature, so um, you're not just stuck on trying to make Killian bigger or better or badder. Like you can sort of, if you do it right, time it right, you can help sort of control the table.
right, exactly. And that's the thing about the auras is that he can also just suit himself up. He's got Menace, I think, and Lifelink or something like that, so
Hmm.
he can swing in
Yep.
there as well. And then we've got Lee in the bottom left there now with Dargo and Keskit. Kind of an older deck you don't see very much. It's like a turbo combo deck. You power out Dargo, assemble a combo involving an outlet that generates mana when you sacrifice him to generate infinite mana.
Right.
And you do various things with that. Keskit's a great value piece because you can sacrifice your junk that you would otherwise use to cast Dargo to generate more cards to kind of speed things along there.
Sure.
So we're seeing a pretty standard turn one here from everybody. Nile Spellbomb, importantly, in the bottom right from Killian. Um, there's a lot of value to be gained out of the graveyard in this format, so like a Nile Spellbomb's a really great value piece to just have in your back pocket. A first land and tapper from Eshine at the top there. So we're off to the races. That's kind of what you want to do is facilitate land untappers along with Freed from the Real to basically generate your infinite mana. It's one of the easiest ways to do it.
Right. Yeah. Get those down early and get those down often.
Hmm. Yeah, here comes TPI, Third Path Iconoclast. So Papa Popper is just going to basically just cast spells as you otherwise would in a game of Magic and just
Just what
incidentally accumulate
it
an army
likes
of
to
tokens.
do. Yep.
Yeah. The important thing about this card, obviously it's like a young pyromancer, but better because it's blue and triggers off of any non-creature spell rather than just instants and sorceries. So
Yeah.
really easy to just generate a ton of value off that thing.
Yeah, and he's known for
Yeah.
playing a little more interactive version of
Hmm.
TPI, a little more reactive version, if you will, mid-range-ish.
Yep. Exactly. Yeah,
instead
there's a
of
lot of
just
ways you can
straight
build
up
it.
spell slinger.
A lot of combo builds, a lot of mid-range builds out there.
Yeah.
Okay, so it's interesting. Got a Mephitic draft for Lee on Dargo Kesket. So it's gonna you draw a card, lose a life, but importantly, it's just a tchotchke that you can sacrifice to Dargo or Kesket if you're in that stage of the game.
Sure.
But like cards like this are very valuable, not only in this strategy, but a lot of others, like things that come down, generate a resource for you, and then you can leverage them in other ways. You kind of get double duty. The format's a lot about just kind of mining as much value as you can out of the cards that you have access to.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, there's a ton of artifacts that don't see play that have a decent, that you only want them for synergy, but sometimes, especially in these environments, you need multiple uses out of that
Hmm.
artifact.
Right. They really have to do something.
Yeah, good ETB or produce a color and sacrifice to something else or provide,
Yep.
table presence.
All right, so we're gonna have Gretchen hit the board here, along with an Arbor Elf. So gonna have access to a fair amount of mana. The Rhyme Tender untaps a land, Arbor Elf untaps a forest. Don't have any land auras like Wild Growth or Utopia Sprawl, anything like that to kind of multiply the mana generation.
Hmm.
But if you're just trying to deploy cards, having more access to more mana is never bad.
Yeah.
And you can always pump that mana into Gretchen if you're not doing anything else. So
Yeah, that activation is not harmful.
yep. Yeah, that's the great thing about just having Gretchen is being a free mana sink. You can leave up your mana to do what you will on your opponent's turns. If you don't have to do anything, just draw a card, play land.
Right. Nothing wrong with that at all.
Yeah, exactly. All right, so Kessig Flame Breather is coming out. A big feature of decks like TPI are these pinger creatures.
Yep.
It's a templating of creature that basically reads, whenever you cast a non-creature spell, instant sorcery, whatever, it deals with damage to each opponent. Flame Breather is one of the better ones. It's cheap first. It costs 2 mana. It's at 1/3, so it blocks well. And it triggers off any non-creature spell, which
Yep.
is kind of a feature amongst this TPI deck. It's going to try and generate as much value out of every single spell cast as possible.
Yeah, and it helps that it doesn't have to tap either.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, and he doesn't have much else to do. It looks like just play a tap land and attack with TPI. So
Sure.
pretty clean
Not a
turn
bad
there.
turn overall.
Here's a card from Killian that I actually like quite a bit that I think is a bit underplayed as Thieves' Tools.
Oh, very
Um,
good, very good.
yeah, so it's an equipment that comes down. It makes a treasure when it enters, and when you equip it, if the equipped creature has 3 power or less, I believe it's unblockable.
Hmm.
So it's a great way to kind of force little creatures through that generate value on attacking. There's a lot of creatures like that. When it deals damage, draw a card. When it deals damage, discard a card. Those sorts of things. All right,
Yep.
and we're going to see a chain of custody as well. So this is, like we were mentioning before, a big feature of these Killian decks is being able to cast auras for 2 reduced mana.
Yeah,
So
so this is
that's what
basically an exile spell for a single white mana. Like that's not bad, bad at
yeah, it
all.
gives Killian Ward 2 as well.
Right.
And in a deck where you can easily kind of like sideways Voltron in a little bit,
Hmm.
it's certainly helpful.
Yep.
And you kind of see the power here being able to deploy the Thieves' Tools and then with that single treasure, get the chain of custody on the battlefield.
Yep. That's all it
Just a lot
takes.
of forward tempo.
Yep. We'll see what Brennan ends up doing as we get more towards the later game here. That was
Hmm.
one of the problems I always had with Killian is just running out of stuff to do because everything is so cheap. Orzov isn't the
Right.
Orzhov isn't the color pair known for ramp and or lots of card draw.
Yeah.
So
It doesn't generate a lot of like velocity in terms of like getting cards into your hand, that's for
yeah,
sure.
yeah, exactly. So
Um, but yeah, we're going to use a chain of custody to take out Gretchen, which it's a choice.
sure.
Gretchen is cheap enough to be very like replayable, and I don't think he's in a position to like win with Gretchen. So I'm not sure if that's like the best choice, but he feels threatened enough by it to pull the trigger.
Yeah.
Not going to fault him for that. And we're see Keswick come down. Kesket's a really interesting card, not in favor as much anymore. It was very popular maybe like a year ago.
Hmm.
It's a 1/3 tap sacrifice. I believe it's like 3 things or 2 things, artifacts or creatures to draw, or look at the top 3 and 2 in your hand or something like that. It
Yeah.
draws you cards. I can't remember the exact wording on it, but that's kind of the feature of the Dargo decks is deploying a lot of your junk to cast Dargo for cheap. Kesk is
Hmm.
able to capitalize on those same cards. Yeah. So sacrifice 3 other artifacts and or creatures. Look at the top 3, 2 in your hand, 1 in the graveyard is what the card does.
Right. I like that this is being at least tested in the competitive sense. I think Kesket's really neat. It's a very cool design.
Yeah, it's a really cool card. Definitely, I think worth another look as far as re-exploring what it can do.
Yeah.
All right, so Vizier of Tumbling Sands, another untapper. This one actually was downshifted in Commander Masters.
Yeah,
This one's like one of the more powerful ones, I think. I like this
yeah, for
card in a
sure.
lot of different contexts, but it's a 1/3 taps to untap a permanent. You can also cycle it, and when you cycle it, it untaps a permanent. So if you
Yep,
need to cash it in for just a one-time card draw untap, you can do it that way, or just
yep.
play it for the creature.
Yeah, it sees a lot
And
of play in multiple formats. It's very good.
yeah, and you kind of see between Gretchen and Vizier, like these are creatures that facilitate your game plan very, very well, and they also have very high toughness, so they
Hmm.
prevent you from just dying randomly to combat damage, which is a really useful part of like playing a combo deck.
Right. Yeah, puts up a very nice wall around
Yeah.
itself.
In chat here, we've got Bill Too Much Do. Brad calling you out by name that you should be watching this killing deck very keenly as an
Right.
Orzhov enthusiast.
Yep. I'm watching. I'm taking notes.
Take notes.
I got to see what's going on here.
We'll pass back to Ryan or Papa Popper here.
Taps two
Up
for
another
ooh,
another pinger. So Firebrand
Firebrand
Archer. So
Archer.
so now we're in the position where anytime he casts an instant or sorcery, actually any non-creature spell, because Firebrand Archer triggers off non-creatures as
Yep.
well.
Hmm.
We're going to deal 2 damage to everybody, and we're going to generate a 1/1. Um, so this
He's
is what
got
we
one
call
mana open.
this is a value train, and
Yep. Now,
yeah,
being
we see what
reactionary, is it deck like this? Are you trying to spend that last mana on your turn to make a soldier? Or are you holding it up till the very
it
last
depends on
minute?
what you
You
feel
know,
threatened by. Looks like we're just going to cantrip. I think
sure.
that's like a ponder or a preordain.
Should be a ponder. I see the three balls.
Yeah, I don't recognize the card art, but
Secret layer, I
yeah,
assume.
yeah. But back to what I was saying, it depends on what you're afraid of, right? Like if you feel like you need to be able to react to what's happening on the board, then I think it's if you have a spell to do that, it's worth leaving it up. Um, if not, I think you're in a good enough position. You're not threatened really by much of what's going on right now.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking. There's a lot of stuff going on. Like
Yeah,
players are developing their boards, but there's not a ton of stuff that's super threatening right now.
yeah. I don't think it's
Even the
unreasonable
Killian
for
isn't crazy.
Yeah, I don't think it's unreasonable to want to tap out here,
Sure.
especially if you're trying to find a land off that ponder,
Oh yeah, yeah. Good point.
because he hasn't played his land this turn. So it's kind of a good time, right? Like if you're not under threat of losing the game to anything that's on the board, you don't really need to react to anything important, or you don't anticipate needing to, then trying to find that land proactively, I think here is fine.
Hmm. And Papa Pauper is notoriously on a very low land count, which is probably generally fine for an Izzet deck,
Most
especially a Spellslinger deck like
Yeah,
this.
most competitive decks you'll find are pretty low on land count.
Yeah.
Something that I may or may not agree with in a lot of cases, but it's tough when you're building a deck and you need to be able to react to so many different threats, different types of threats, and packing so much different interaction to your deck.
Yeah.
There's a lot of pressure to do that. So I certainly don't fault anybody for trimming lands to fit in more like 1 mana interactive spells, but you have to be careful to not miss your land drops because I feel
Oh,
like I
you'll
say
get
this a lot.
punished. Yep.
Yeah, when you're missing land drops, it doesn't matter like if you have a mana rock because you're basically just paying 2 mana to hit your land for the turn, which
Right.
is really bad. So if you're playing mana rocks, don't cut lands for them, or else they're not accomplishing the goal that you're setting out for them.
Exactly.
Yeah, like Maximum Magic is saying in chat right now, missed land drops are very punishing in this
Very
format.
punishing. Yeah.
1,000,000%.
But a deck like TPI, especially, like Orion's version, I'm sure the curve is so low on it that he can get away with.
I'm sure he can function, but a lot of the difficulty is that when you're playing a mid-range deck, you need to be able to advance your board and be able to play defense kind of
React. Yeah. You
simultaneously.
kind of have to do both in a mid
Right.
range
So
list.
really,
Yep.
depending on what his interaction is, if he has like a piece of 1 mana interaction he needs to leave up, he only has 2 mana to use on his turn rather than 3.
Right.
So you really need to kind of portion out your needs that way and kind of ration your mana. It becomes very difficult, especially when you're up against 3 opponents.
Yeah. Especially when, I assume at some point the Ward 2 on Killian's going to come into play. And if you're already sort of light on lands, like that's just punishing right there.
Hmm. Yep. I mean, that's one of the reasons why Gretchen is so powerful is because it's able to generate huge mana advantages over its opponents most of the time.
Yep.
It can just do so much. It can combo off while having a lot of mana left over to defend its combo. Like that's a feature, not a bug.
Yep. Looks like Brennan played another Swamp for turn and
Hmm.
sort of trying to figure out what's the next play for him, for himself.
Yeah, we're gonna equip Killian,
Okay.
which is fine if I think if you're gonna attack Gretchen or TPI, just because it has menace, so you can get past the casket.
Yeah.
but it doesn't seem like he has a lot going on. Keeping up mana for the
Not a
spell
lot going
bomb to draw a
on.
card off it.
Killian is unblockable
Hmm.
with the thieves tools on it, but i- something else. He's missing that next level currently. I know we're only on like turn 3, turn 4,
Yeah,
but Killian really needs to get over the hump of that turn 3, turn 4 to be able to compete with the rest of the table. Like once the
right.
Dargo hits, once Gretchen's online, like Killian's just not able to keep up because it doesn't it doesn't treat combat in the same way that Dargo does. It doesn't treat
Right.
board presence in the same way that TPI does. Like it's going to have
Sure.
to come up with some answers and real fast.
Hmm. So untapping for Lee on Darko Casca here. Play land, so that's good. We're back on track there.
Hmm.
So far, everyone's missed at least one land drop.
Patron of the Arts.
Oh no, I don't think Cascade's missed a land drop, but
It's a
yeah,
fine
Patron
magic
of the
card.
Arts. Yeah. Nope. I
I
mean,
always enjoy having.
it's a body that generates a thing. I like those
Yep.
cards a lot.
Two things: treasure
Yeah,
in, treasure out.
exactly. It's like one of the tough spots with Darko is that like you burn a lot of resources to turbo it out.
Hmm.
Um, After that point, once the turn passes, if it gets removed or bounced, then you have to pay full freight for it again.
Right.
Um, so if you sacrifice like a patron of the arts, you just have a thing left over. It makes it that much easier to kind of redeploy, which is
Yep.
why like these cards are quite good.
Yeah.
Interesting little tracker he's got there with treasure, food,
Yeah. I was
and
just
blood.
looking
Yeah,
at that.
it's
Yep.
pretty cool.
It's clever. Yep. Instead of all the different tokens clogging up the camera.
All right, so we're back around to Gretchen. So we're back. Okay. There's the fifth land, three untappers.
Hmm.
So it's you got 8 mana. But what to do? What to do indeed?
I mean, you could probably safely put Gretchen back into play. I would assume.
Almost certainly. Okay, we're gonna transmute a muddle the mixture.
Okay. Or you're just going for your combo piece and you plan on sticking Gretchen and comboing off in the same turn.
Yeah, I mean with 8 mana, like you can recast Gretchen and like leave open
Activate.
activation.
Hmm.
Looks like he's gonna get a Pillapala, which is another combo piece.
Uh-oh.
So Pillapala is a little bit. You don't see this as much
Yeah, it's a
in
tricky
Gretchen
one. It's a
decks.
tricky one. Yep.
What's the card? Do I have?
That's what I was
I have it
just
up in
looking
front of
here.
me. There's an aura.
Here we go.
Careful cultivation.
Pala is a 2 mana 1/1 scarecrow with flying for 2 generic mana and the untap symbol. You can add 1
Right.
mana of any color to your mana pool.
So this is another infinite mana combo piece. So something like careful cultivation and aura, it enchants an artifact or a creature, gives it 1/3 reach and the ability to tap for 2 green.
Hmm.
So you can tap it for 2 green, activate its ability to untap it, add 1 mana of any color. It goes infinite that way.
Yep.
And then
1 mana at a time.
you can put it all into Gretchen. You
Yeah.
you don't see this combo very much
Mm-mm.
in these lists. Usually they just go kind of all in on the like the land untappers
Yeah,
and
the
mana
land
auras.
auras. Yep.
Yeah, but it's pretty interesting. It's just 2 card combo really, so it doesn't take up a huge amount of real estate depending on how you build your deck.
Yep.
Okay,
I
so we
think
had the
we
careful
just
cultivation.
there we go. Careful cultivation. You called it.
Yep, interesting. Has some sickness, so we'll have to wait a turn.
Yeah, I was gonna say next turn though. They're gonna have to come up with some answers. Ryan's got the hand on the chin. He's thinking about stuff.
Yeah, so it might be. I don't know if it's on the stack or resolved yet, but we'll find out. Looks
Looks
like
like
it's
it's
resolved.
resolved. Yep. Moving to instep. Let's see what TPI's got in store. You would imagine, yeah, at least for the next turn cycle, everything in everyone's hand is going at Gretchen,
Yeah,
at the Gretchen player.
yeah, gonna get that Pillar Paul off the battlefield.
Yeah, for sure. Which it's a 1/1, so it shouldn't be that difficult, but
Well, no,
strange could
now
happen.
it's a 2/4
Oh,
with
two
the
four. That's right, with the
careful cultivation.
cultivation. Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah, yeah. Good call.
yeah. This Gretchen deck, looking at the list, it's got a lot going on.
It does. There's a lot of pieces here,
It
which I
also
mean, there
has an
always kind of is with Gretchen, but this one's particularly involved.
right.
Share discovery from Ryan.
Okay, so tap 4, draw 3.
Sure.
So we really need to hit our land drops,
Yeah,
is what I'm
he's.
getting from
That's
this.
what I'm getting to. Yep. It feels like 2 turns in a row.
Yeah.
And you're right. Going back to what you said earlier, it does feel like in my heart of hearts, being a mid-range player, it does feel awkward saying I'm on mid-range. I'm on 30 lands, but I'm on mid-range. Like,
Mm-hmm.
I'm. I don't know. That just feels awkward.
Yeah.
But again, not
Yeah.
not disparaging the deck builders at all. They definitely know these decks inside and out.
Right. What it comes down to, it's hard to say that any particular land count is bad. It really depends on
Hmm.
what you're trying to accomplish. Like what you consider to be positive, proactive steps and reactive. Like if you can meaningfully like do things and leave up interaction with your deck and play 30 lands, whatever, like more power to you. But
Yeah.
most decks aren't able to do that because the amount of mana you need to actually deploy threats that need to be taken seriously and react to threats that need to be taken seriously is much higher than what 3 mana can allow, for example.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah, you're right, Max. Gretchen brews usually do come out on top in the mirror.
Well, I mean, that's
Eh,
the thing, right? Whenever you kind of put a different spin on it, people look at Gretchen and they feel like they know what they need to be interacting with.
Yeah.
So, it warps the metagame, right? People say, oh, Gretchen decks are weak to this. So the stock lists for other things include pieces that are just broadly good against quote unquote Gretchen, but may not be good against Pilla specifically. It just kind of
Right.
slips through.
Right.
These are the sorts of things that like win tournaments in a lot of ways.
Hmm. Yeah, I mean, you see it in 60 card formats all the time as well.
Yeah.
Especially ones that are dominated by, one or two decks. Everyone's trying to find those extra flex spots to beat that mirror, to beat that best deck, etc.
Right. Okay, so Ryan
No.
passes end step. You can discard 2 artifact
Ooh,
or 2 pingers rather,
yep.
Ingenious Artillerist and a Witty Roastmaster.
Discard a hand size.
It's kind of overloaded on those things right now. Yeah, they don't do much for him. All right, so end of turn, we're gonna get rid of the Nile Spellbomb, draw a card. It looks like.
Oh, exiled Ryan's graveyard. Yep.
Yeah, it's not a bad choice. No one else really has much going on.
Sure. Gets an extra card in Killian's hand, which it definitely needs all the time.
Yeah, I mean the Killing deck has a lot of removal,
Hmm.
so just need to find it.
Yeah, and it's nice being in white at a table like this, or particularly with careful cultivation on board, because white isn't damage-based removal. It's just, exile it, get rid of it,
hmm
destroy target tapped creature, what have you.
And even destroy target tap creature is not bad, like
Hmm.
because the Pilla does need to tap to untap itself, and if you don't have something like uh, the like the blue untapper or whatever. I forgot the name of it off the top of my head, but it untaps a permanent, so it can untap Pillipal in response. But if it's been already utilized, then you can certainly use it to kill the Pillipal for like
Yeah.
a spell like that.
Yep.
They're generally not like great just because how situational they tend to be, but I mean they definitely kill creatures, so it's not the
Yeah.
worst thing.
Uh-huh.
It's like what is here? I mean they've got Doomblade, Crypt Swap, Generous Gift, Ghastly Demise. Go for the Foot will not work. Importantly.
Correct.
Rend Flesh. Yeah, a fair amount of things. Okay, so there's Candy Rush. Give a creature +3/+0 and lifelink until end of turn. Or Sugar Rush, rather.
I'm assuming
Oh, no,
after
just 3
attacks.
+2/+0, not lifelink, just +3. Sorry.
Yeah, I'm assuming this was after attacks were declared.
Yeah. For some the reason why I thought that gave lifelink is because I've been brewing decks that have commanders with lifelink, and I
Oh,
theorized around this card quite a bit. So
yeah.
that's why I always
I like
associate it.
Sugar
I just
Rush.
associate it with lifelink.
Yeah, I like Sugar Rush quite a bit. Sugar Rush and Monstrosity are probably my favorite woe
Yeah.
cards. Commons
Yeah, Max,
anyway.
Vendetta is a card that more people should consider. Like,
Yeah,
if you
for
look at the way
sure.
that things are bending and you need to be interacting earlier and earlier, Vendetta is really good. And Vendetta's in this list, importantly.
Yeah.
Also, Victim of Night. Yeah, there's a fair amount of removal. Just need to find it. Just may not have it. And like that's the thing, that we see. We've seen in a lot of these tournaments is people going off in the first 4 or 5 turns of the game, and nobody has a removal spell that can deal with it,
Yep.
or is able to interact reasonably effectively.
Yeah, that's one reason I think that a lot of these events, these big high level tournaments, the turn number has been going down steadily because the mana values, mana curves of these decks is getting smaller. while interaction is still remaining somewhat expensive for how fast some of these decks can move.
Well, I don't know about expensive. The thing about it, I think a lot of times people don't mulligan effectively. I think
That could be.
that's a very real
That's
reality
totally
of it.
fair. Yeah.
Like if I'm going up against Dargo, when I see Dargo Casket, I think of a deck that's going to try and combo quickly. When I look at Gretchen, I look at a deck that's going to certainly try and combo.
Yep.
And TPI, if I'm looking at Pop across the table, I kind of have an idea of what he's doing. But other players, Clay runs a banishing not dedicated banishing not combo list. There's other players that play Peregrine Drake alongside Third Path. Um, like making sure that your hand has at least one way to remove a creature, like, is really important. And sometimes, I mean, this deck had Chain of Custody, but like blew it really early on the Gretchen. It didn't really accomplish a whole lot.
Yeah.
But you want something
Yeah.
that can go at
You're
instant
right.
speed.
Hmm.
All right.
Yeah. Instant speed removal is key.
Yeah. All right. Looks like we're throwing some stuff in the bin to
Sure.
activate Casket.
Gonna draw a card. Gonna make a
Yeah.
treasure. Yep.
So clearly, like I said before, like this is a combo deck. We're not trying to beat down with Dargo, although I don't think that would have been a bad path to go in this game.
Sure. Yeah. Yeah. I agree.
Like that's one of the reasons why like Gretchen feels confident enough, I think, to go for it here is because there's not a lot of pressure.
There is not a lot of pressure at the moment.
I mean, you just look at, I mean, Ryan has probably the most threatening board, and he tapped all of his things to draw cards on his turn. He's not going to combat.
Right.
So Brain Spoil went to the yard, drew two, put a land. There we go. You love to see it when people make their land drops every turn.
Yep.
It's a beautiful thing.
Feels good. Feels good.
It's a lesson out there for all you folks. Build your decks to hit your land drops first and foremost,
Yes,
because you
please.
need them to cast your spells. Lightning Bolt.
Bolton the oh.
Pillow Polish should have 4 toughness.
Should have 4 toughness.
Did it take a damage from something that I don't know?
I don't believe so. 1 second. That's interesting. Let me just look up. Careful cultivation gives +1/+3. Yeah, it should have had 4. But did we miss
Did it
something,
take a
chat?
damage? What do you say from what do you mean cascade max?
Snuff out is an opening. Yeah, Cascade was tapped to its own ability, so it didn't attack. Let me look up this real quick. Treasure. No, Casket does.
It does not.
Casket
You're
is
thinking of Armix.
sacrifice. Yeah, Casket's the one where you sacrifice 3 other artifacts and/or creatures. Look at the top 3. Put 2 in your hand, 1 in your graveyard.
Yeah, casket just draws cards. So I'm not, unless I'm missing something, that Pillow Polish should not be dead.
Correct, because that was just a straight up lightning bolt.
Yeah, I don't know if we've gone too far or whatever, but
Yeah, we've already
might be
passed
worth
turn.
having Liam take a look.
Interesting.
Um,
Wonder if everybody, just like I was when cultivation first came out, I wonder if everyone was just so focused on the combo potential of it that they didn't. They
yeah, I
just
don't know.
forgot the +1/+3.
Okay, looks like Liam's jumping in
Okay.
to the rescue. Yeah, I'm not sure how we'd resolve it at this point. It's been, I mean, we took a couple steps through, but
Couple steps through, Dargo attacked, went to instep, yeah. Shiny's already drawn for turn, I believe.
this is, I mean, and assuming I didn't miss anything, is it just a good example of like when you're just playing through turns, like things can move kind of quickly, and when somebody confidently says, "I kill your creature," you can just like believe them. Um,
Yep, all the time, all the
that
time.
very well may be what happened.
Yep.
I know I've done that before. Because why would Brad, for example, try and manipulate me into killing my own creature, right?
Right. I
But he
can't,
would. But
but
he
he
would.
would.
That's what you don't understand. All right, so we'll just wait for this to be resolved.
Yeah.
Because here's the thing: is if that Pillow Palace sticks, it's game over.
Yeah.
Because Gresham comes down, draw the whole deck, and then you
I
just
see a little grin on Papa Popper's face. Maybe he knew the math was wrong and it just didn't want to say anything.
everybody's just sneaky today. Sneaky
Yeah,
sneaks all
sneaky
over the
sneak, and
place.
this is game one. Come on, it's gonna be a fun one.
Yeah, Scoob. Brad is a cheater. This is
Yes,
confirmed and documented.
one
That's
hundred
why he's
percent.
not. You think he's doing commentary because he likes it? He's doing it because he's not allowed to play in these tournaments anymore.
Right. This is like a not public service, community service. Like
That's right. It's your sentence.
this is my sentence. Yep. That's why I can do these commentating on Saturday afternoons when it's beautiful outside because house arrest. I mean, so can't go anywhere.
Yeah. Yeah, it's interesting. I mean, yeah, I mean, so after that whole thing went down, we did see the Dargo come out along with the Dragon's Breath.
Oh,
Notably, like the synergy between Keskit and Dargo here is that Keskit can sacrifice the things to draw cards. You sacrifice the things, so it reduces Dargo's cost. You don't need to like sacrifice specifically to Dargo, just as long as you have sacrifice stuff.
right. Hashtag
Um,
synergy.
yep, exactly. So you get to play him for free, and for free, you get to play him for free,
Free
and
for
then
free.
just throw Dragon Breath on there, which is like a really great card in any kind of Dargo deck. Like the Dragon's auras from Scourge, the ones that
Yeah, so good.
come back from your graveyard whenever you play a Big O.
Yeah, Cascade pretty much read this creature takes 6 mana off Dargo.
Yeah,
Nice. Seems pretty good.
yeah. So I mean, I'm interested to see what happens because it's not like you can point a lightning bolt at the Pillapala and then like you know if Ryan sees that it doesn't die, like not say anything. I don't know how that stuff is resolved because like you don't have the option to like it's not like missing a trigger. Like the creature dies or it doesn't.
Right.
Um, but again, like if he puts it in the graveyard, like that certainly means something too. This is why I'm not a judge.
Yes,
I know the
100%.
rules, but I don't know these rules.
These are the intricacies of being judge that I
Right.
am not interested in. Looks like Lee W is playing the Dargo deck.
Yeah, I'm not
That's
familiar
that's
with
the
with
spell table
him.
name anyway. Mhm.
I'll bring it up on Moxfield here.
Moxfield is like some dude. 1337 dude.
Leet Dude. I don't know him.
Yeah.
But yeah, kudos for bringing back an old classic here. Dargo Keskit's pretty cool, but it's just one of those decks that's kind of like either it does the thing or it doesn't, and there's not much middle ground.
Mm-hmm.
Because you see here, like, what did he do? Just played some trinkets and drew some cards, and here we are.
Right.
Okay, so Pillapal's gone. Looks like it's going back to the yard.
Huh. All right. Interesting.
Yeah, it's a big punt, but We'll see what happens from here. Hopefully, Shiny's not like too tilted by this.
Yeah. Yeah. He doesn't seem like a player that gets tilted very often, but you never
Yeah,
know.
he's a pretty jovial personality, but
Yeah.
Here comes Gretchen. We've got 5 mana left. All right.
Gonna untap a forest.
Yep, making some mana
Island. Yep.
virtually here. Okay. It's got a Nurok stealth suit.
Okay. Interesting.
Hey y'all, this
What's
is
up,
your
Hi,
friendly
Liam?
Liam.
neighborhood judge. So what just happened over there in table 3 was an unfortunate circumstance where the Pilipala had a careful cultivation enchanting on it, giving it +3 toughness, and a lightning bolt was cast. And the table had agreed that the Pilipala was a 1/1 and had subsequently killed the Pilipala when in fact it was a 2/4. Unfortunately, because that was done in the middle of a main phase 1, after which 2 more cards were cast and a combat step was had occurred,
Yes.
and then we had moved to the next turn where untaps had occurred and a card was drawn. That brought in random nature to the scenario. Because of that, we couldn't really do a simple backup on this scenario, and all that is a warning for all the players about a failure to maintain the game state. Nothing else beyond that, just a warning.
Sure.
And the Pilipala remained dead.
Cool. Great
Fair enough.
explanation. Thank
So it is an unfortunate circumstance, but sometimes it's what happens.
Yeah.
Yep. Yeah. It do be like it do.
It do be like it do for sure. And that's what I was
Yeah.
wondering too, because when it first happened, I thought, well, Dark was already attacked, EV's already untapped off the turn, maybe.
Right.
Yeah. Had it happened where EB had untapped and hadn't drawn his card, we would have been able to potentially successfully complete a backup, but that would have determined on which lands were tapped and untapped because of a Gretchen on board.
Fair. Yeah,
Sure.
yeah.
So there were a lot of things in that scenario, and the thing is, just a simple backup isn't possible. So we're just going to move on as if the lightning bolt could have killed that Pila, and everyone's going to get a warning.
Cool.
Sounds good to
Perfect.
me. Appreciate it.
Yeah, thanks for hopping in on that.
Absolutely.
All right. So move into. So it looks like you didn't really do much else. Just equip the stealth suit. I think
Yep.
Ryan cast Sapphire Charm at the end of his turn to just cantrip and found a land. So we're off to the races.
To get a land, dropped an arcane
Yep.
Grab.
Yep.
Help me here. Yeah, is it Signet?
Yep. This looks like he's using some numbers here to represent tokens. If you look at the token on the left, it has a 3 on the bottom left-hand corner. It's going to indicate how many tokens he has that are, I think, able to attack. And then the 1 on the right has summon sickness, I believe is how that's denoted.
Interesting.
Yeah. Because he did cast the Arcane Signet, which would have triggered TPI, which would have made that 1.
Yep.
So we're tapping, going to combat here.
Yeah, unless you want to block with Gretchen. The archers pretty much have a free path to anybody else.
Yeah. Yeah, it looks like we want to Killian. 29 to 27.
Damn, Max is
Oh.
throwing around the gift subs in the chat. Well done.
Who doesn't love a good gift sub?
That's right.
I got a basic swamp here for Killian. So right now, like if I'm the Killian player, I do like that I just kind of have full freedom to operate. No one's really caring about what I'm doing.
Basilica Screecher online.
Yeah. But on the other hand, you got to think like there's a reason why nobody cares what you're doing.
Yeah.
So I'm like worried yet kind of relieved at the same time. Basilica Screech is certainly good, but again on this board it just doesn't do anything.
Yeah, you can have 1,000 life. Gretchen's still gonna be Gretchen.
Yeah, and like if you look at the way that things are situated right now, like Ryan's got a pretty big presence and is starting to find his mana, so he's going to be able
Yeah.
to do a lot more. Dargo's on the battlefield, and none of your stuff can really stand up to that. So you really just kind of need to carve a path. And okay, Parasitic Impetus is one way to do that.
Yeah, when Ryan taps, he's gonna have 5 available mana. That's a lot to function off of for his deck. So.
Yeah, and it's tough. It's tough for a deck like Killian to break through like a wall of tokens like that.
Yeah, 100%. I mean, he does have the thieves' tools, but it'll only go so far.
That's true. Yeah.
I mean, you can't. In a
But
game like
again,
this, a table like this, you cannot win with Killian at 2 power the entire game.
yeah, you're not going to win a race.
Nope.
So
But it
parasitic
looks like the
impetus here.
Archer and the Killian both went Gretchen. So
hmm
interesting.
Yeah, that's interesting. Okay, so we've got parasitic impetus here. I think we're figuring out where it's going.
What would be your choice here?
I mean, if I'm just not going to get too analytical about it, I just throw it on Dargo.
That's what I'm thinking. That's what I'm thinking.
TPI has a problem with Dargo because it tramples.
I mean, you could try to throw it on. No, I guess that really wouldn't work either. Yeah,
Yeah,
Dargo's probably.
I just like throwing it on Dargo just because, like, if your creatures are not going to get there against TPI, then Dargo certainly can.
Mhm.
Like I've experienced playing a lot of trampling creatures against TPI decks, and like it's very unappealing to have to throw away your whole board just to trade with a Dargo
Yeah, the board
or like
wipe.
any like 6-7 power trampler.
Right.
That's what I'd probably do.
Yeah, seems fine.
Plus, it keeps the Dargo from coming at you. Not that it was anyway, but just in case.
Yeah, Brennan and Ryan are both near their starting life total, so
hmm
it's an interesting dynamic we got going on
Yeah,
here.
yeah. I mean, there's really been very little combat happening.
And it's all pretty much gone at, at Gretchen. Dargo went that way. Killian's hit him a couple times.
So we're doing something.
We are doing something.
Tapping some lands.
Echoing
Echoing
Truth.
Truth.
I guess maybe Ryan didn't like the target for that impetus.
Yeah, looks like it. We'll see how this resolves.
Yeah. Yeah, Max, he finally drew a fourth land and cast a Is It Signet on the same turn. Or I guess at the end of Shiny's last turn, he cast a Is It Charm?
Sapphire Charm.
Fire Charm. He finally drew into his land. Hmm,
Oh, so he's bouncing the Dargo to fizzle the parasite. Okay, so he doesn't
that's
want this
fair.
impetus to hit the Dargo.
Yeah. I can't really blame him. Dargo shouldn't be super difficult to recast. Plus, it'll just automatically come in with the Dragon's Breath. So
Yeah. Well, importantly, he just has a treasure. So Dargo's what, 7?
it'd be
So we could do
7.
sacrifice treasure for 1, -2, so it costs 4 mana, like 4 mana out of pocket to recast him.
Mm-hmm.
Unless you sacrifice Casket.
Let's just sacrifice Cascade or cast some cheap artifacts on this turn.
Sure.
Yeah, yeah, Max. This is a kind of a weird one. Like in one hand, you want Dargo there to take out Gretchen. I'm not sure how Gretchen just took 4 more damage, but um, on the other hand, you don't want Dargo on the board because it'll come at you.
So I think that it's important to keep in mind that when you're managing a Gretchen, that you also need to be managing your other opponents as well. And when you're constantly having to hold up resources to deal with Gretchen, it becomes very laborious to do so. Now, with
Sure.
the way that this is situated right now, like Yishine's at 8, he's at 1 card in hand, nothing going on except for like Gretchen on the battlefield. All he's really going to be able to do, assuming the card in his hand is like an ace in the hole, which is pretty low chance of that, I think, is just like activate Gretchen.
Sure.
So you can take a turn off from trying to manage Gretchen and just try to like leverage your resources against the rest of the table a little bit. It's just like a window.
Yeah, and it's still a Rakdos deck. It's still got the first, the Mogwarts combo built in. It's got some ways
Yeah,
of
I
the
don't think it's
game that
necessarily
aren't
that bad.
constant.
I think that like when push comes to shove, like he's at 8 and Killian seems to be attacking him as well. He has
There
an
we go.
army of tokens,
Dargo is going to be a single mana here in a second.
Yeah, and here comes Darko right back.
Yep. Look at that. He did exactly what we told him to do, or said he was going to do.
So looking at the Killian list, It can. I mean, when I look at it measured up against like what TPI is doing, I don't think it has much to stand on. It's not going heavy on like the Voltron stuff.
Yeah,
It
it
doesn't have a
needs more
lot
of
that
like
puts his power higher than 2.
I want to
Um,
say control, but almost tempo-ish
it's very
control.
interactive, but
Yeah, very
like
interactive.
removal spells are bad against tokens.
Yeah,
I mean, there's
definitely.
echoing decay and some things like that, but by and
Well, and
large,
like you said too, like we talked about earlier, the Killian deck seems powerful, but there's just no velocity. You can't make Orzhov have velocity,
mhm.
and that's a lot of the problem it has with it.
Yeah, so we got Darko back. He's got the Dragon's Breath right back from the graveyard, so now he has haste.
Dargo is definitely an magic card.
It's black white mid range, but the threats are not great, I guess is my point.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, Max, you're right. Abdel, black background, better than Killian probably. Vizkopa can be better than Killian. Killian is just one of the cards that you play in a competitive environment because you love it. Like I don't know that anyone is convinced that Killian's going to break a meta or take down,
Well, right.
quote
It's something
pillars of
where
the
like
format.
what is Killian doing better than those other decks? I mean, and I think that's going like Voltron, but that's not what this deck is doing.
Right. Bingo. Yep. Like I would play Killian in a competitive environment, but I'm a simp for Orzhov, so you can only take my word for it.
Yeah, it's just a tough table, I think, for it.
Yeah, it is. So it looks like some bad math might have really hurt Shiny in this particular game.
Yeah, I don't think he's long for this world at this point.
Yeah. He's got
Although,
mana
if people
to activate.
miscalculate and give him too
Oh,
much room to breathe, I mean, he could conceivably piece something together, but
sure.
we'll see.
Where did Dargo just go to?
We went to
Oh, he went
Ryan.
over at Ryan. Huh.
Hmm.
Okay. Interesting. What's up, Islane?
Isleen, hello.
Hello.
All right, Gretchen activation.
Christian activation.
Yep, digging for something. There's
I
land.
got a forest.
Hmm.
I would.
Is he going to do it again?
I was gonna say I would do it again.
Yep,
I mean,
he's
you get
doing
to at
it
this point,
again.
right? I mean, Dargo's threatening your life total. TPI's establishing. Killian's doing his thing. Like
Yeah, so I think
you gotta go for it.
it's apparent that he doesn't have anything going on,
Yep.
and he has to take a turn off to just kind of do this. Not a great position.
He's got 2 mana. I was just leaving them open for the turn cycle, I guess. One of each.
Interesting,
Yeah.
because what is the? I don't know if you need to do that. I mean, I'd rather have like the creatures untapped because you can always untap things at instant speed, and you have your creatures up to block if you need to.
Yeah. Yeah, blocking is going to be really important here shortly.
Hmm. Yeah,
And Gretchen can handle a little bit, but Brainstorm
beauty
EOT.
brainstorm. Several triggers on the stack. There's 2 damage to the table, and then another token.
Another token and draw some cards.
Hmm.
Blue likes to do that.
Looks like that was an upkeep brainstorm.
Oh, interesting. Hmm. Command tower.
Hmm. Wonderful. You love to see more lands.
Yes. They should have a decent grip of cards, of spells ready to deploy. I
Yeah,
think
his
it
Moxfield
feels like
thing
he's
is a little too small for me to see, so I can't
yeah.
see the number of
It
cards he
feels like
has.
he's drawn a decent amount of cards in the last 2 or 3 turns. Not playing a ton of spells.
Hmm. But now you've just got 5 tokens, and the board's pretty open, so you can just like get somebody for 4. Like,
3
you know,
spells right now takes out Gretchen.
Yeah. Yeah. I
Cut
mean,
Stargo in half. That
there's a lot
kills
of different ways that you can just deal damage right now.
Yep.
I mean, you can swing all 5 tokens at whoever you want, right? And there's
Mhm.
one blocker up for each player, so that's 4 damage just right there. Then each spell is 2. Um, and then you still have like some stuff up to block with.
Like,
It's
it's
on the archer
not,
again.
depending on what's in his hand, it's not. Huh. Okay. Swinging with both fingers, and looks like some tokens.
Let's see.
It's not out of the realm of possibilities that he could take out Grin and Dargo on this turn,
Mm-hmm.
and then just deal with killing.
Yeah. Yeah, this is pretty good. Like, I'm a big fan of just understanding that you're not going to block with Firebrand Archer and you're not going to block with Keswick Flame Breather, so just send them in.
Yeah, might as well.
Like,
Free
it's
damage is
just
free
like
damage.
it's just like a free attack. All right, so we're going to block and sacrifice a construct. Draw 2.
Okay.
Corrupted Conviction. All right, and it looks
Speaking
like,
of
yeah,
a
so it looks
fact
like,
of a lot of that is a
yeah,
nice.
Flame Breather went at Lee, so we did the block and sacrifice to draw 2 there. Firebrand Archer went at Brennan, the killing player, blocked with Basilicus Creatures, so they trade.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if I don't
Oh, it
know.
looks like we're past.
Yeah, it'll pass with all that mana up.
Interesting.
Yeah, so I mean, it's tough. Like, it's kind of like a weird Mexican standoff here
It
to kill
is.
Gretchen. Just on account of the fact that like Lee would have to take a turn from not attacking Papa Popper to do it. Papa Popper in turn can just passively kill him, in which case like Lee can wait for that to happen. But that, again, involves like waiting at least 1 or 2 turn cycles. It's a lot of like trying to jockey for position in terms of who's going to be the one that has to devote resources to killing Gretchen.
Right. Yep.
Because that's like a pretty big tempo loss in terms of like engaging with the other player. So we got Syndic of Tides, another extort creature. Extort is a really good way to maximize on the cost reduction from Killian. Gives you more mana to extort with, obviously.
Obviously. Yeah. It's a good one. It is
Killian goes
not.
to the. Oh yeah, yeah.
No, it's just the extort is really good if you can land them as early as possible.
Yeah, just maximize activations.
Yeah.
Yeah. Killian went Orion, brought him down 19. So we're starting to even things up there. Yeah. Brennan's the big winner of this kind of standoff between Lee and Ryan, I think.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, because
someone's going to have to make a decision, and
Brennan hasn't really presented a threat, so no one's really like
yeah, just 2
come their
damage a
way.
turn.
Yep.
Yeah,
Yep. Which is fine. Which is that's a good
it's
game plan.
free.
Yeah. Free real estate.
That's right. And no one feels pressure to attack him because his life total is, he's not threatening to win the game, much like Darko or Gretchen could.
What did Lee just put on the table?
Witty Roastmaster.
Witty Roastmaster. All right,
Yep.
cool.
So another way to just passively kill everybody.
So many pingers in the format.
Yeah. Yeah, in terms of like non-competitive games, I hate the fact that there's so many pingers because they just
Same.
compound each other and it makes the games like so one note when you're just passively dying to 800 things when you're just trying to play a game of
Yeah,
Magic. In
not a
these
fan of pingers
games,
whatsoever.
yeah, in competitive games, I hardly feel the same way. Okay,
Sure.
so we have Thermopod. So what are we
That's right,
doing
Smith. I
here?
hate pingers. Like Derek just said, I hate them in casual settings. I can tolerate them because I have to in anything more competitive than that.
So you have Thermopod on the battlefield. Sacrifice a creature, add a red mana. So
Okay.
what spell? What counter spell is that? Essence Scatter. whatever it was, it got rid of the Thermopod, which is
Yep.
good. Thermopod is one of the ways that Dargo goes infinite with Witty Roastmaster. You get Dargo to the point where it only costs 1 mana to recast. When you sacrifice Dargo, he basically pays for his own commander tax.
Yep.
He costs 2 more, but his mana cost is reduced by 2.
Mm-hmm.
Each time you sacrifice a creature, himself included. So when you get him to that point, you just can loop him. Sacrifice him to
For
Thermopod, add a
free,
red,
yeah.
recast Dargo, ping off Witty Roastmaster, and then kill the table that way.
Yep. So you
Sticky
can go with the Sticky
Fingers,
Fingers,
one of
one
my
of the better enchantments.
favorites.
Yeah, one of the better enchantments we've had printed in a long time.
This is a card that does a lot. So it gives a creature menace. It gives a creature, when it deals combat damage, you make a treasure. And when it leaves the battlefield or when it dies, you draw a card.
Yep. It's just coming and going.
That's right.
Value. Value train never stops.
It just replaces itself as a baseline. And then from there, it just gives you extra mana to work with on your turn. And with Dargo decks, treasures count for 3 towards its mana cost.
Right.
So they're very, very good. And here he comes.
And here he comes.
There he goes.
Assuming it's going to Gretchen.
The way
Ryan
that
doesn't look
Brennan's looking at
thrilled.
his mana, I don't know who's
Ryan's
going.
not reacting to anything.
Yeah. So they all, I think, both Shiny and Pauper both have at least 7 commander damage. I'm not sure if Shiny's up to 14 now. I don't know for sure, but oh, he's at 7. Okay. Oh no. Yeah, he should be at 7. Okay. So not enough to. Oh no, yeah. Even with pumping off of the Dragon's Breath, it's not enough. Okay. So back to Gretchen. A lot of mana open.
D, the Alcadron Invader in the chat. What's going on? What up?
Dave, you'll have to ask tournament
33 people.
organizer Robert Fine
Mr.
for
Robert
permission.
Fine has all
We don't
the
have that
answers
authority.
you seek. That's correct. If it was up to us, you'd be able to commentate and play at the same time.
Unsummon. My favorite card. Where's this going?
You were just talking about that, weren't you? Or was it
Yeah.
Boomerang?
I was talking about Unsummon. This was probably back before the broadcast started. And
Yeah, it was just when we
yeah.
got together pre-game stuff.
I love Unsummon. I think it's really, really good. I think not
I
enough
do
people are
too.
playing it.
I really do too.
Bounce spells are very good. Looks like we're throwing it at Dargo.
Fair.
Yeah, and see, this is why it's good. It just makes him have to recast Dargo, commit more resources, gets rid of the sticky fingers without drawing a card.
And that's
For
the
1
thing,
mana,
you
it's
just
good.
nailed it too. Like, sure, maybe next turn Dargo will cost 1 mana again, but it's deploying those resources. It's taking those resources from what was going to be advancing the game plan next turn to crap. Now I got to cast my commander again.
Yep. And the thing is, like with a Simic deck in particular, you don't have much in the way of hard removal. So just being able to take a Dark off the table at an opportune moment, even though it may only buy you a turn, is very, very valuable.
Yeah, very valuable. Yep. Especially when life totals are beginning to dwindle.
Yeah, because you're not trying to control the game. You're just trying to generate enough tempo to execute your combo, right? You're just trying to stay alive long enough.
Yep.
And that's why these spells are their most powerful.
Yep.
I mean, against a Dargo deck, it's basically a fog.
Yeah, it really is.
Because they're not attacking with anything else. Looks like then we're going to activate Gretchen. And then we're left with 5 mana open.
Carbon Man, welcome to the chat. Yeah, the cPDH tournament, Sanctuary PDH Open Series number 4. This is game 1. Well, game 1 that we're commentating.
Yeah.
What table are we at?
Who even knows?
We're at table 3.
Table 3.
Yep.
All right, so back to Pauper here. Untap draw. So he's got what? Flame Breather, TPI, and 6 tokens and 6 mana.
Yep.
I believe he is just drawing the cards he put on top of his library from that brainstorm. I don't think he
Mm,
shuffled. So we
interesting.
should. So he locked himself for the next 2 turns, but I don't know what those cards
Well,
are.
maybe they're bangers.
It could be. You never
Could
know.
be. Could be.
Yeah. So looks like you can go to the tank here a little bit and just see where everything stands. Figure out what he's scared by. Next turn, I can't imagine we're not going to see Dargo come back down and get that Dragon's Breath reattached.
Right. Exactly.
It looks like Dargo did go at Brennan last time. So kind of making the rounds.
Hmm.
The tough thing is that having to recast Dargo every turn really cuts down on the mana that you can pump into Dragon's Breath, which is like Fire Breathing is another really effective tool for red decks that I think is underutilized.
Yeah.
It's not good everywhere, but it's
Mm-mm.
you
No.
know,
No.
ways
But
to use your mana when you otherwise wouldn't be able to use it are really, really good in general.
yep.
And ways that you can do that to just push tons of damage, like I think it's a really broad application kind of mechanic.
Yeah.
All right. So we're going to have a big Keep Watch here. Attack with all 6 tokens, cast Keep Watch, draw 6 cards. Keep Watch, for those of you who are unfamiliar, you draw a card for each attacking creature.
Oh. Yeah. He had 6 cards in hand when he cast Keep Watch, and now he's going to have
Yep,
double that.
yep. And then we're going to have a couple triggers, free real estate there, draw 6 cards, make a token, deal 1 damage to everybody off the Flame Breather.
And then he'll
So we're
still
back.
have
We're
one,
back
two, three,
full.
4 mana to play with 12 cards in his hand.
Yeah, so yeah, 3 lands, play a 4th. I can't imagine wouldn't have drawn a land there after
You're
6
right.
cards.
It should be a good turn for him.
Yeah, this is going to be able to chain together some things.
Yeah.
This is
Either
where you're
keep
looking to
the
kind of
chain.
turn the corner and
Yep.
establish like a dominant
Exactly. Yep.
position.
100%.
Like with a deck like this, it's like you can, I guess, like just draw 6 pass, but
Arcane
I
Seed.
mean, you have a turn to set stuff up here.
Yeah. Ooh, drew a bunch of mana rocks apparently. But he's got 2 mana available, so
Look, here's the thing about mana rocks, they still trigger all your stuff.
they still trigger. They do.
and
They do.
and these ones importantly come in untapped, so you can use them to cast more spells.
Yep.
So you play Keep Watch, play 2 mana rocks, deal some damage, make some tokens. You still have 2 mana up at the end of your turn, which
Hmm.
for like the interactive spells that this deck plays is more than enough.
Now I didn't notice. I want to look at Ryan's list if he's on any sort of ramp, rituals, anything like that. But I don't think so. I think just straight sort of mid-rangey.
Yeah. Yeah, Mizu, it definitely can draw enough to draw out of the brainstorm lock. He didn't have anything to do that though before the Keep Watch, which was kind of fortunate. So you just like draw the thing that you put on top.
Right.
But he had to get rid of the second card. Obviously, you drew past it, but so yeah. So you look at like, granted, like Killian is cheating on mana a bit, but just look at like how much mana everyone has access to, and Killian's still at 4 lands.
What's up, Archon Mage? Mr. Mage?
Wow.
Welcome to the show.
There's 2 PDH pals in the chat,
There's
everybody.
Dose Pals. It is a
And
pal indeed.
and yet 0 Scaretillers,
Yeah,
0
what's
Duo
up?
Drones.
Yeah, what's up with that?
Looks like we're going to combat. Turning Killian sideways yet again.
Mm,
2 more.
2 more. 2 more. Somebody. Max, I don't know that you missed a whole lot. I don't know. I guess I don't know when you stopped watching. Ryan cast a big Keep Watch, drew a bunch of cards, played some mana rocks, passed the turn. He EV Shiny bounced
Life
Dargo.
totals have dropped.
They have dropped.
This is true.
That is quite true.
All right. So it looks like hit Ryan for 2 more. Go to 17. And pass. Okay.
I feel like this is the second or third turn in a row that Brennan hasn't had an extort creature on board and not gained any life.
Well, that's the thing. Like, he probably has some quantity of removal spells in his hand, or some interactive capability that he's going to be relying on for this turn cycle.
Would have to, right?
Yeah, but the problem is that, like, if you don't end up needing to use the removal spells, you're just not doing
True.
anything with your
True.
mana, which kind of sucks.
Yeah. Mm,
Yeah.
looks like an energy refractor for Mr. Lee.
Yep. It's just able to turn that red mana from a thermopod, for example, into any color.
Yep.
If
Turns a
he's able to go
swamp
mana
into
positive
red
with it.
mana. Yep. And or it's just fodder for Dargo.
That too. Any artifact is fodder for Darko.
Mm-hmm. What's up, Ruffian?
Goodbye, Ruffigan.
Oh, I'd rather be doing this than moving.
So Dargo is in his hand. Okay, hissing Iguanar. Whenever a creature dies, it deals a damage to target player. Another combo piece with Dargo and Thermopod.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm not sure, Max. I've often thought about the same thing. Duress is kind of sketchy. I mean, what are you going to do with it on turn 12? You know, turn 8, turn 9. It
The
really
thing
kind of
about
needs to
those
be early
cards,
on.
what I like about those cards is the information. You're just looking at somebody's hand
Sure.
as a big game.
Very good. It does literally nothing except add to the storm count in the later turns.
Right. Alright, so
That's
Iguanar
nice.
comes down, get a Roastmaster trigger, everyone drops one lower.
Mhm.
Eshine hanging on by a thread.
By a thread.
Kodotha Rebirth, okay, so this will kill him.
Ooh, good spell.
Gonna have 3 goblins enter, 3
Good,
Roastmaster triggers.
good timing.
Unless we do something about it. Can we? Will we?
Will we? Shall we? Shiny's got up to. Oh, and there's the 0.
Yep. Defeated.
Nope,
Oh, back up
nope,
to
nope.
2.
Back up to 2. Mhm. Interesting.
He's got plenty of mana to do whatever he should want to do, in my opinion. But does he have it?
Who, Mr. Shiny?
Yeah.
Yeah. He took a look at his hand and then dropped his life to 0 and then put it back up at 2. So.
Maybe just being theatrical. There's no way to know for sure.
True. True, true, true.
Yep.
Nope.
Okay, resolves.
He accepted it. The roast master got him, which it often does.
Yeah.
Couple combo pieces. I think after the Pilipala incident,
Yeah. It's a tough way to go.
Shiny was just sort of like a victim to variance.
Yeah, didn't have much going on after that. It's pretty apparent. He kind of went all in on that line.
Yeah. Which, I mean, I would have too. Like, if that's
Yeah.
something I had, and then possibly half of that combo in my opening hand or what have you, I totally would have went for it.
Mhm.
And everybody knew it too. If he would have untapped, that would have been pretty much game.
Right. But at the same time, like, I don't know, if we hadn't blundered with the toughness of the Pillipala, would they have just killed the Pillipala with the lightning bolt for free without the, cultivation
Right.
on it? Playing it when the lightning bolt wasn't a factor, may have been the right play, but
Sure.
who knows? Dargo's coming back.
Dargo with the Dragon Breath.
Yep, so we have Dragon Breath trigger. Yeah, so we sacrifice all those goblins to get Dargo back out, triggering the Iguanar. Looks like 3 damage went at Ryan Pauper, I think.
Yes, I believe so.
So I think Iguanar is targeted. Yeah, target player. Okay. So we're tapping some mana,
Doing some
untapping
stuff.
some mana. We don't know yet.
So this is probably still in response to the Dargo, correct?
Yeah, the Dragon's
Okay.
Breath isn't attached. So what I
That's what I
imagine
was
we're at
thinking.
now, yeah, is the trigger from the Dragon's Breath is on the stack.
Yep. Ryan's got in store. Can you do 9 damage with 2 mana?
Importantly, Fellwar Stone only taps for black, white, and red mana now that Gretchen's dead.
True.
So we
True.
can't like counterspell. But not that he could anyway because it's a trigger. So what is he get bounce Darko? I don't know.
Bounce.
But he can't double blue, that's for sure.
Correct. Yep. Because the Signet and the Fellwar Stone.
Yeah.
I think it's going to
Here it
resolve.
comes. Yep.
That is crucial right now. He's got no mana to pump into it necessarily, but that haste is huge at the moment.
Here it comes. Tapping Fellwar Stone for Scred. Okay.
Okay.
That should
All
do
right.
it. He's got 5 snowlands.
Yep.
Make a token, deal damage. See, this is why like the TPI deck gets out of control. Just because for just playing Magic, you just get so much free stuff.
It just rewards you for playing the game. Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah,
For
absolutely.
just sleeving up 100 cards, it's just free.
Here's your reward. Yep. Here's your consolation prize.
Yep. Now Dargo's gonna have gonna have command attacks for the first time this game, I believe.
Yeah.
It's gone to hand a couple times.
Oh yeah, it has been bounced twice, I believe. Echoing Truth and Unsummon.
Mm-hmm.
Actually, both Brennan and Ryan did drop pretty quick. Just like 2 turns ago, they were both
Mm-hmm.
high 20s.
Yeah, that's what happens when there's three, all these pingers on the battlefield. It just
Pingers,
happens.
Dargos, yeah, it's crazy.
Like you just start
Fast it
playing
ramps up.
Magic, playing your lands, casting your spells. All of a sudden, your life is down by who knows how many. It's impossible to say.
Who's to say? Only a mathematician could figure that out.
Exactly, a math magician, like Dave the Alcatron Vader.
Like Dave the Alcatron Vader. Correct. And we're still in Lee's turn. Yeah,
We are revitalizing. Alert! Okay, so gonna gain some life. Gonna gain 3 life, and then we're gonna extort it.
Okay. It's a decent bet.
So 5 total.
Extorting.
Yeah, once you get down to this like low enough life totals like this, it becomes a little bit better. That Killian, you don't need to deal a ton of damage.
Looks like instep. What is that?
It's metallic. It's the improvise counterspell.
Oh, is it
Metallic
targeting
rebuke?
the revitalize?
Probably.
Interesting. That
You don't want to give him a card. You want to keep his life total low.
that is brutal for a Killian deck. Stripping away extra cards from that deck is
Yeah.
very good.
You still get the extort because it's a cast trigger, but
Sure.
not much else.
Right.
It seems kind of silly like to counter a life gain spell like that, but on this board it's pretty heads up, I think, to just get it out of there.
Yeah, it's pretty heads up, and you don't honestly want to give Killian any more cards in hand. Like it already
Right, I
struggles
mean,
to do that as it is.
if you look at it right now, Ryan's got 10 tokens.
Yep.
Brennan has 1 blocker.
Yeah. Oh,
So we're
now
gonna
comes
Doom
the Blade,
Blade, the
targeting
Flame Breather.
Flame Breather. Okay.
Yeah.
Maybe that was bait. Maybe it was a bait with the revitalize because he had the Doom Blade all planned out.
I think it's better to keep his life total as low as possible, if I'm being honest. Sure. Like, because now he's dead to the tokens, and then, he's tapped out, has no mana, 1 blocker, 10 tokens, 9 life.
TPI deck, and it's not going to kill you with commander damage.
Yeah, I think Ryan countered the proper spell there, honestly.
But if that was a bait, it was a good one. That's how you do it. He was doom baited. Yeah, doom baited. That's right.
Yeah. At least still 6 cards in hand. That's an awful lot. Or 5, looks like.
5 hand. Yep.
Yep. So now this comes down to, does Rhino just turn them all sideways? He can kill either one of them, honestly.
He should have 5 or 6 cards in hand. I feel like he discarded the hand size and then cast 2 spells not on his
Yeah, you're
turn.
probably right. Plenty of mana to do whatever he wants.
Pretty much, yeah.
But those 10 tokens will kill either one of them.
God, that is a lot of tokens.
Yeah.
And they just add up. Like, you're right. It's just, in a game of Magic, here's 10 tokens.
Yeah.
Good luck.
And at this point, it's just kind of trying to figure out what you're afraid of. That's really what all these games boil down to, you know?
Yeah.
Um,
I think he's splitting up attackers now.
yeah, looks like he wants to kill Lee. That's why he has 8 set aside. 8 minus
Mhm.
2 for the 2 blockers. 6 would be lethal.
And notably, Lee's only a swamp open. He does have 5 cards in hand, but
I'd probably send 9 in case he has a 1-mana removal spell.
that's where I was going with that. Yep. An innocent blood. Well, I guess innocent blood would also put him in the
Unless you have
house.
something to just like shore up that last point of damage. I don't know, but
Sure.
I mean, I wouldn't want to miscalculate. I think, you know, in competitive situations, it's really easy to just kind of run on the margins that are so thin that, you know, one piece of interaction that you weren't counting on just blows the entire plan out of the water.
Yeah. Yep.
It seems pretty trivial to just like throw one more token just to make sure that like one piece of 1-mana removal doesn't completely
Oh,
screw
I
you
guess he had
over.
2
Or
mana.
2 mana,
Sorry.
sure,
Yeah. Yeah.
but terminate, yeah.
Terminate. There it is.
Mm-hmm.
There's that one extra token would have made the difference.
Yep.
But you know, Ryan's got cards in hand, mana up, so
Yeah.
Rakdos versus Izzet is always an interesting battle.
Yeah. Okay, so we're gonna interact with the terminate.
Yep.
This seems like a really great place for Arcane Denial. What is this? Arcane Denial?
Memory lapse. No, denial. Yep.
So
I believe so.
Arc this is the a really, you know, feels good Arcane Denial because if you kill him, then he's not gonna draw cards off it, you just get your free
Yes.
card.
It's
Um,
optimal arcane denial, some would
you heard
say.
here first, optimal strategy for Arcane Denial is use it to kill your opponent, that way they
Yep.
don't get cards.
In that respect, it's almost busted.
It's almost a good card. All right, so that'll do it. It brings me 0, and then we're moving to main phase 2.
That was a close
With
one.
Yeah. Tapping some stuff. We're convoking something, it looks
Convoking
like.
meeting of minds, possibly.
This is a big spell, though.
It sure is.
Okay, it's a damage spell. It's
Okay.
the one from March. I think it does like 5 damage.
Okay.
It's like a 6-mana red spell.
And does that one go to face too?
No, it's a creature,
Okay.
planeswalker, or
That's
battle,
what I thought.
I think.
Okay. I guess I can look at the deck list right quick here.
Yeah. Shadow the Source is the name of the spell. So 6 damage to a creature, planeswalker, or battle, or destroy an artifact.
Okay.
So we're going to get the Killian off the battlefield. Just have Syndicate Tides, and, you know,
These tools.
doesn't look great when you're on 4
Does
lands,
not look
Killian's
great.
off the battlefield. So, like, what are your options, right? Like, recast Killian, all your removal costs so much mana that you're going to not be able to double spell.
Exactly.
Really tough spot.
Yep, it's easy for Killian to fall into those tough spots.
Mhm.
Even like no fault of the pilot at all. I think it's just how the nature of that deck operates.
Yeah. It's Astrolabe, redraw.
Yeah, look, cantrip. That'll work.
And another extort creature. Looks like we're going to extort off of it. Tap 3 for it. So extort's pretty embarrassing when your head's up like this. But, got to take every edge you can. Or we're just going to counter it. Okay.
Yeah, for sure.
Why not?
Yeah, definitely has diminishing returns in the later games, but every inch you get.
Yep.
But if
Yeah.
it doesn't resolve, then it doesn't matter.
Yeah, that creature is a little bit problematic in the same way that Revitalize was, right? You want to keep his life total low so you can just kill in one swing, whereas like
Yeah.
Tithe Draker has lifelink, so you're dealing with an effective 12 if that's on the battlefield, and Ryan would not have enough
So it
mana
helps to
to.
keep the life total manageable and keeps a blocker off the field as well.
Yep,
Here's the thought
exactly.
cast. More card draw. Feels like Ryan definitely hit the
We're
engine of
in
what his deck does.
we're in Winmore territory right here.
We are in. Welcome
You
to
can turn him
Winmoreville.
sideways. I mean, Brennan has
Yeah.
no mana. It's just a matter of going to combat.
Yes.
Or we're gonna do the fancy one and just massive raid him and burn him to the
Yeah, I
face.
mean, put all these decks in your, or all these cards in your deck not to play them.
I guess Ryan is that allergic to going to combat that we're just gonna cast massive raid.
I mean, the game's not to time yet, so keep playing.
Let's put it to time.
Yeah.
That's it. That's all she wrote. So
That's it. Good job, Ryan.
yeah, you kind of see at the end there when you are kind of starved on resources. Like Brennan was, it's just so hard to get anything going. All it takes is interacting with Killian to just take him out of the game entirely. Because at that point, every spell that you're casting, you need that 2 mana reduction to be able to have any kind of foothold at all. And when that's gone and you have to take a whole turn off to recast it, it's just too much, especially when you're up against, a TPI deck that's just generating so many free resources. And you're just kind of starved on that same front. It's really hard, really, really hard. That was kind of what I was afraid of going into the later turns of the game for Brennan, is being up against that TPI.
Yeah. Yeah, I hadn't looked if Brennan's running any sort of sweepers. I imagine he's got to at least have a couple in there. You can't enter competitive realm at this
He's
stage of
got
the
like
game.
Arms of Hadar, I think,
Okay.
is the only one.
There's
Echoing
so
Decay for
many,
tokens.
there's so many tier decks we have now that are just tokens.
Yeah.
That's a thing.
Yep.
They have
But
to
you
be
look at
undermined
it,
at that point.
looking at the list, it runs 31 lands, which is average for a competitive PDH deck.
Sure.
What I would consider to be too low for most decks,
Mhm.
including this one, because if you don't have Killian, everything costs so much mana.
Right.
And you don't have any mana rocks. So, I think we just saw that kind of play out. Let me take a look here. Yeah, and we can cut back. I don't think we have any other games going on. Let me just double check.
Yeah.
Well, I guess there's a couple more going. Let's see.
Check it on the other table.
Yeah, we'll cut back to us for now, at the very least.
Table 6 is still going. Table 2, table 1. Yeah, there are a handful of games still.
Wow. But yeah, so Brad, what do you think about that game? Give me some honest thoughts. Honest.
Honest thoughts. It was good. It was interesting to see a little bit of every archetype in one game. The combo deck we had. I mean, granted, sure, the Dargo deck was combo-ish, but it's a super aggressive deck. We had the TPI, we had the Killian. See a little bit of everything, and the way that the various focus of the players shifted throughout the game. Like it was Gretchen was number one threat, until the Scarecrow died, and then it was just like, okay, we'll just kill Gretchen, eventually, sort of thing. Like we'll just keep attacking until they're gone. Not super worried about it.
Yeah, exactly.
Ryan had sort of the opposite thing where he was, missing land drops, kind of struggling to cast spells until the last 2 or 3 turns. Then he just took off, which is what that deck does anyway.
Yeah, exactly. It takes very little for it to just kind of get back to where it needs to be.
Yeah.
So let's see. Looks like we've got another game here already jump into that's in action. Life totals looking a little low, so we can.
A little low. What do we
Yeah,
got
so
here?
here we've got some good ones. Allura, Merry Thief, and Agent of the Shadow Thieves. For
Another
some
Gretchen
ninjas.
deck.
I was looking at this list earlier, the Allura deck. It's a lot of ninjas. Another Gretchen deck, doing same Gretchen things. No scarecrows in this one. Airness, Gloomstalker, and Street
There's Gloomstalker.
Urchin.
Only
Kind
4 minutes left in the round. Okay,
I know they
interesting.
better
So it'll probably be a
write this
draw.
up. And then we've got Mystic Enforcer, probably with protection from green or something if it hasn't been killed already by the Street Urchin.
Sure.
Um, Unfortunately, it doesn't look like there's a lot of ways to take advantage of Pro Black in this game, but nonetheless, you have a 6 power flyer.
Some pretty grindy choices here, I think, for a competitive,
Yeah,
timed event here with the
this
Allura deck, Mystic
this
Enforcer
is a pod
deck.
that I would certainly not be surprised about this game going to time. What you
100%.
see is so with Allura and ninjas specifically. I talk a lot about tempo, and when you're bouncing your own creatures back to your hand to replace them with another creature, you're not generating tempo. Tempo is when you are, basically playing to the time frames of the game. You're playing, advancing your resources, playing lands, playing creatures. It's the speed at which you're deploying your game plan, basically.
Correct.
And when you're bouncing your own creatures back to your hand every turn, it's really hard to do that, especially with an Aranus deck being able to snipe whatever it wants.
Yeah,
Um,
whatever it wants, whenever it wants.
Same thing with Gretchen. Like they need land and tappers to do their thing. Aranus is able to keep that in check. Mystic Enforcer, with the white cards, you're able to give it protection, so you're able to get a foothold. But again, you have 3 players to deal with. It's hard to kill with combat damage, especially when there's so much counter magic.
There's
So we have
a
a counter war
stack
here.
war going on right now.
Yeah, I think it's a Saboro Breeze caller.
I believe so. Targeted
That's
would
what.
go for the throat, and
Yep.
then Bray came back with their own counter spells, and it resolves.
Yep. So we had go for the throat, countered by a muddle, countered by dispel, I think, or something like that. Another counterspell. That's the important thing.
Yep.
I can't really see it. It's looks like a Universes Beyond version that I don't recognize.
It does.
But yeah, now that Breeze Caller's on the battlefield, we can try and go off.
Yep.
Because High Tide's on top of the library.
Bringing it down to the wire.
Yeah. Get some mana floating. The Street Urchin is not on the battlefield, so don't have to worry about Aranus.
Correct.
Yeah, this is plenty of mana to go off here. Breeze Caller lets you bounce a land to your hand to untap a land.
Right.
Gretchen famously puts a land from your hand onto the battlefield, which is how this loops. It looks like that land has 2 auras on it, Wild Growth, and something else that I can't quite make out. And with 8 mana floating, I find it hard to believe that he's not going to win the game right here.
Sure. Yeah, I don't think you just do this just to draw out the game.
Yeah.
Yeah. Got 9, 12. Yeah, 12 mana floating.
So interestingly, I will say that if they don't scoop to this, it could very reasonably go to time.
Sure. That's fair. Yeah.
If you make him do all of the things.
Yeah. every single copy of every single spell. Sure.
I don't know. More mana.
Yeah, it's messed up. Make him play out the loop. Yeah.
Gretchen. Yeah, they still get their turn, but if you mill everybody out with, I guess so. If you're doing it with the thing. No, I get what you're saying, Clay. More mana.
All the manas.
Just a lot of dice. I don't know what all these dice are referring to, but there's a lot of dice.
A lot of dice. A lot of twisted and turning of the dice. Does he not have the combo yet? I feel
Well,
like he hasn't.
he can draw his deck.
Right. I'm just curious
Maybe,
why he hasn't
maybe
presented
he
it yet.
doesn't have enough mana to go mana neutral with Gretchen and
That's what I'm
and the
wondering.
Breeze Caller.
Right. He, he hasn't even really been digging that much from the looks of it, just sort of like generating the mana.
Mm-hmm.
If he has 2 lands that combine to tap 4, tap for 6, he can loop until he finds another aura. Too much for me. That is too much for me.
Yeah, he needs to piece together enough mana to draw into another aura to go neutral.
Yep.
And net some mana, and then go from there.
Yeah.
But it's not at this point. It's not deterministic.
Couple Gretchen activations here.
Turning the dice in various directions, drawing more cards.
Showing us numbers, numbers, dice, dice.
Yeah.
Twisty turny, draw cards.
Get another dice. There we
Gretchen,
go.
Gretchen. Oh, another dice into the mix.
Another
All right.
die. Yeah.
Here we go. Here we go. That 6th dice is the lethal one.
That's right. Mystic
It is a
Sanctuary.
very dicey situation, Wales. I'm concerned for the table. So those dice can hurt, you know. You ever been hit by one?
It's true. All right. Putting an Amonkhet invocation on top of the library.
Certainly is.
Yeah.
Looks like Beachbot is scooping,
Yeah, we're packing it up.
packing it up.
So
Just
it must,
presented the loop.
you
What
know,
invocation is that?
beats me.
Beats me. What do you got, Bobby? What can you tell? What can you tell your booth here? It could be like I think 3 or 4. That's what I thought it was capsized, but I think isn't there also an invocation for like compulsive research or?
No, I think that's capsize.
I think it might be capsize. Yeah, I don't know the invocation arts either. I mean, I guess we could just read the card. Oh wait, can't do that either. Well, either way,
That's it. Yeah. So we
card
just
says
make a
put
bunch
this
of
on top of
mana.
your library, and the other players
Yeah.
scoop.
Look, yeah, I mean, who cares what's happening? If people scoop up the cards, then that's the end of the game, as far as I'm concerned. Look at all those dice. How are you gonna keep
What are
playing
you
in the
gonna
face
do?
of all those dice?
Right. It's just too many dice.
Yeah,
Too much clacking. Too much clacking around.
yeah, it's definitely capsize. Compulsive research does not have an invocation. It has a Strixhaven thing, but not
Strixhaven thing.
not an Amonkhet invocation. Yeah. So yeah, I mean that's kind of like I said, like this is a game that I would certainly not be surprised if it went to time. Um, In this particular game, it looks like it just got Street Urchin off the battlefield, and it was kind of open season from there.
Does that Street Urchin deck, are they playing stickers or were there for those there for some sort of tracking purposes?
Most likely playing stickers. I know it's pretty popular in these
It is
decks
pretty
now.
popular. Just
But let me bring up the list. Yeah, it looks like it.
nice.
Yeah, they got Stilt Strider in
Okay.
finishing move. So yeah, the green sticker spells at least. Mhm.
Amazing. Amazing.
Yeah.
Love it. A good sticker deck.
No, I mean stickers are good. It's just like there's not a ton of support for them
Correct,
at
yeah,
common. Like
yeah.
there's a handful of things that you can do, but it's not like reliable. It's always kind of like a plan B.
Yeah.
You know, it's not something that you want to build your whole deck around unless you're playing specifically like a commander from those sets.
Right. Because even in, I I think in blue white there's 3 or 4 if you're counting the artifact that makes the tickets. There's just not a ton of ways
Right.
to get the tickets created.
Yeah,
The
there's only a
stickers
handful
themselves
of
are
creatures.
crazy powerful. Like they can be
Hmm.
ridiculously powerful, but
Yeah, I mean, if you can find that stuff reliably and build a deck around it, then more power to you. I know that like Teshar needs stickers a lot of the time,
oh
but like white has a handful of creatures that do that.
yeah,
Yeah, if you're not doing stickers in your command zone and you're just trying to draw them, and you're 99, it's a much taller order, but they're
for
powerful
sure.
nonetheless. If you're able to find them, then that sounds great. Do it. All right, let
Yeah,
me take a look
some of the
here.
new Sivers decks use stickers. That's pretty interesting. We'll go
Yeah,
to our
decks
yeah, and
that
there's also
can
Blorpity Blorp Boop. I have that actually
right.
built in paper. I don't know if
You'll
it's
find them a lot
optimized
more
at all, but
you'll find them a lot more in decks that play a good like mid-range game, are able to dig through their deck, find them, just because there aren't a lot.
sure.
Um, it looks like that's going to be it for the round. Just heard from Bobby. So what we'll do, let's take a little break.
Yeah, we'll
We'll
take a
come
little break for
back
break.
and we'll go into the next round
Yeah, sounds
and see
awesome.
what we got there. Yeah, sound good?
Cool. We'll be
All right,
back.
perfect. We'll see you guys in a little bit.
See ya.